Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing okay today. So, on today's topic of discussion, I'm going to explain a little bit of information on alcohol. If this is quite relevant to you and you like a drink over, like, say, the weekends or something like that, but you're still wanting to get the best possible results with regards to transforming your body, dropping some body fat, losing weight, anything along these lines, and you're wanting to improve your overall nutrition, I think this will be a great thing to listen into, because I think it's very, very important to make sure that we know the reasons why and we have some understanding and education around these things. Um, because obviously I talk a lot about nutrition, but I don't necessarily zone in too much on the alcohol side, which I think is important as well. Um, Personally, myself, I enjoy having a drink once in a while. I don't necessarily need it every single weekend as such, because I think that I can go without. And I think sometimes as well, if I'm wanting to hit, say, a fat loss goal or even a performance goal, I'm happy to maybe take it away for a period of time as well to reach that goal a little bit quicker, because I honestly find that alcohol will majority of the time delay your goal. But as I speak a lot about this and discussing, a lot of detail, is whether it be alcohol or like a treat or something like that, if you generally tend to take things away too much, I think sometimes it could promote a potential binge, or you may just sort of like, want to consume it regularly every single weekend or something like that, or it could be through the week as well. I'm not too sure. But usually most of the time it's like we get to the weekend and we like to have a drink. And I think it depends on the person of who you get like through the door as well. I mean, if I'm speaking to clients on a regular basis and I know that they really enjoy having a drink and it's something which is part of their life, then if I was to take that away totally within a certain period of time, that really may push them to restrict, but have certain binges as well with regards to things like nutrition after a period of time as well, and alcohol. But if it's a person who just likes to drink once in a while, then obviously we can potentially take it away for a period of time to get a fat loss result as well. So it depends totally on the individual. And I think that's very, very important to understand. If I want to go out on, say, a night out with my friends or something, or my family, and I want to have a few drinks, I know that that's potentially going to delay my fat loss goal. Depending on obviously how much I drink as well, this is the thing, isn't it? If it escalates more and more, then it's going to potentially promote other things, which I want to discuss in a little bit more information, because I do think, having a small amount of alcohol is actually being shown to be quite healthy. If you were to have like something like a really small amount every single day, that is usually a reason for maybe consuming alcohol at that sort of point of being able to do that. But majority of the time, people don't generally tend to do that. They like to socialize with alcohol, and enjoy themselves, and they'll probably have a lot more than probably what it's recommended for a healthy amount, which is perfectly okay, but it depends on how far you push yourself with things as well. And that's what I wanted to bring up today. And the first point I wanted to bring up with regards to this, which I think is like really, really important to understand, is the most important thing that affects people's fat loss goal isn't necessarily the alcohol as such. Alcohol is going to ramp up your calories a little bit more, but most people are like, okay, well, I'll just have like a gin and tonic, for instance, and I'll just stay on them all night, or I'll stay on like a Sol or a Corona or something like that, which isn't necessarily a lot and a great deal of calories in them. So we can sort of be quite savvy with our choices sometimes, but that isn't necessarily going to still help you in the long run, because the main thing what it does is it reduces people's ambition to move forward with their goal. And I honestly find that is the most important thing that you need to be considering, like, totally 100%, the fact that how much you have of alcohol as well is probably another thing. If you get to like a certain amount and you're okay, then that's okay. But most of the time, if that starts to escalate more and more, it depends on how much you have of things. That could potentially reduce your ambition even more as well. So it could be the fact that, like, you've had quite a few drinks now, and it's getting later on to the evening, and your cravings go crazy high, for instance, as well. It depends on the person as well as what you get. Some people get massive cravings when they've had a drink. And that is a very, very common thing which generally tends to happen. That happens to me quite a lot. You know, if I know that I've had any more than 2 or 3 drinks and my cravings go through the roof, and I'll probably want to overeat on certain types of foods, and I won't necessarily be thinking about my goal too much as well. That's the thing, is to say, it's reducing your ambition to move forwards with your fat loss goal. You don't necessarily think of that at the time. So it's just important to be mindful of these things, which I think is very, very important to be considering. It could be the next day as well. As we know, it may not necessarily be at that time, but you get up in the morning, you feel really hungry, and then you start to maybe use food as a form of coping because you may be hungover or something like that, or you might not necessarily be crazily hungover, but you just don't necessarily feel great. You've not necessarily had the best night's sleep. You've maybe got a little bit of a headache, and you just finding ways to make yourself feel a little bit better, which is so common with so many people. Hangover cure food, and they just constantly start to eat food the next day as well. And that can ramp up your calories a huge amount by a period of time as well. And it could be a number of things which could potentially affect that. The fact that you've not necessarily had the best night's sleep, the fact that you're feeling hungover, you're dehydrated, all of these things could potentially be affecting your goal at this moment in time when that happens. And that's probably the reason. That's probably the main thing. If that happens, if you happen to like have crazy binges the next day, that's probably you've probably consumed more calories than probably what you would do the night before when you were drinking like alcoholic drinks. So I think that's probably one thing to be thinking of as well. And sometimes then things as well of reducing your ambition, it can escalate as well. It's not necessarily like something like, okay, you're like, Sunday and then that's it. Then, I'll feel great on the Monday. It's like this could escalate for a few days. It could like be Monday, Tuesday, and it takes you a while. It could be like towards like the midweek before you slowly start to get back into your routine again. I actually find that this is it. It's being aware of the amounts that you actually have as well, is being aware of that and drawing a line after a certain point and going, you know what? It's a little bit like, your food, isn't it? And your treats and stuff like that. Knowing like where to draw that line is so important for you guys to understand. And knowing that the cost benefits slowly start to get reduced a little bit more as well there when you slowly start to consume more drink. So just think of these things, guys, because I think that's an important thing to understand. And as I say, willpower will just go out the window. Things will just feel a lot more challenging for you to do if you do generally tend to drink too much. It depends on what type of person you are as well, and how you handle alcohol. But yeah, as I say, that's it. That's the fact that the matter is that the next day you may not move all day as well. And that's another thing which can affect your energy balance as well. It's like I just don't feel like moving today. Don't necessarily feel great. I'm just going to watch the TV. I'm just going to chill out. Your exercises may get moved to one side, and that might not necessarily just be the day after. It could be the Monday comes and you're just feeling really tired. You're back in work. You have to get back into your routine. You've got to be thinking about your work as well. And things can just escalate so much as well, and it can put a pause on your goal. Now, if this happens once in a while and you enjoy having a drink and you had a great night, it was probably worth it. But if it's something which is like regular and it's like a consistent thing which happens, like you're going out all the time every single weekend, or like you're going to restaurants and stuff like this, then we've just got to think of it this way, that this is going to put a potential pause on your goal if this is happening. So just please make sure that you consider them things, because that is probably the most important thing to think about is the ambition side, and the fact that it just affects your willpower a little bit and your goal. The next thing I wanted to bring up is that this affects your recovery as well. This is another thing as well, which not a lot of people probably know about as much, but like things like your exercises, your recovery is going to be affected a little bit more. And that could affect your general performance throughout the week, the next week. So considering these things and just understanding that is important to know. The fact that energy levels and sleep patterns is maybe going out ever so slightly is an important part of the process. I find as well it is a bit of like, you've got to make sure that you draw that line, and not necessarily just for the drink side of things, but also as well, like, getting back into your regular routine in the quickest possible way. And I mean, I've spoken about this quite regularly in my content with regards to nutrition. And something's not necessarily gone to plan with the nutrition, and drawing the line and jumping back on board of things and not escalating things. Necessarily, like, say for instance, you had a takeaway or something, or you've just ate something processed, and people just sort of think, well, I'll just wait until the next day, or I'll wait until Monday, or you'll sort of just put things off a little bit more. And the same goes with alcohol as well. That's going to reduce your ambition a little bit more. But the important thing is to think about is getting back on board with your routine as quickly as possible. And if you have had a drink, then that may be a little bit more difficult to do. But if you've got the willpower, that your goal is really important to you, by making sure that you can jump back on board with things as quickly as possible, drawing that line, jumping back on board, and just get started on things. Things will probably move forward with your goal as well. But as I say, if it's a regular thing that's happening majority of the time and it's becoming consistent, it is going to blunt your goals a little bit more, and we just need to be thinking of the bigger picture of things. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing to be taking things away for a period of time with alcohol, but if it is something that you love doing, but if you're the type of person that's like, you know what, I enjoy it, I enjoy having a drink, but it's not everything to me. I don't necessarily need it all the time. I'm happy to take it away and still have a good time. Then that is important as well, that we could potentially take it away for a period and get some amazing results as well. And it depends as well. When I've said this to a lot of clients as well, is what have you got on within the next, like, because I do a lot of packages for 90 days, and I'll say, what have you got on for like the next 90 days? Have you got like any events coming up? Like, have you got any social events, like family events, friends' birthdays, weddings, anything like this at all, which is going to prop up? Because then things that prop up are going to potentially maybe affect the goal that you're going down, but not necessarily affect it too much. But we potentially have to maybe put a plan in place to change things around to accommodate that. And it may be like I could set like a limit of the amount of drinks that they have as well. That's probably another good thing to do, is like, that, like, if you're going to go out and you're going to go to a friend's birthday in 2 weeks' time, and we know that you want to hit this goal within this period of time of 90 days, we need to make sure that we don't just let loose and just forget about everything that you do on that night, because even though that may only make a small effect on your goal with regards to calories going up, because it's only like a really small window, it's just going to affect everything else afterwards, which is probably the big thing as well. But as I say, limiting it to a certain amount Also, being quite savvy with your choices of drink can really help you out as well. But I honestly find that that's like very minute. People always think about things like, oh well, I go on gin and slimline tonic, and I'm really watching my goals a little bit more, but then they're consuming like 10 gins or something like that, 8 gins in a night, and staying up quite late as well. That's another thing I actually didn't think about. That is another good thing as well, is how people stay out for a long period of time as well. Their sleep patterns out totally, not necessarily that alcohol affects your sleep pattern, but what time do people generally tend to go to bed on the weekends when they've had a drink? That is another big thing which could potentially affect your goal as well. It's all out of sync, and then you get into Monday, and you're struggling to get back into that routine there, and then obviously you're having to get back up for work in the morning. Most people have got jobs early in the morning you've got to get up to, and then like Monday to Friday work, and if the fact that they've been in work all day and they're feeling quite tired because the sleep pattern's out, the last thing that you potentially want to do is maybe go home and prep a meal or cook a meal or anything like this, or they've got to go and do an exercise session now, and it's just affecting their willpower with regards to their goal a little bit more. And it's so important to understand these things and know that, because that will play a big role in your goal. And just being observant about these things will definitely help you out. Because people just go into this blindly. They don't think about these things, and then all of a sudden they go on a night out, and then they're like, oh, like shit, I've took 2 steps back and I don't necessarily know what to do now. And it's just looking at the bigger picture going forwards, that yes, if this happens, I'm going to have this amount of drinks. Got to have a little bit of willpower here because I want to get the goal that I want. I want to feel more happy and confident with the way I look and feel. I want to fit into dress sizes. I want to have more energy levels. I want to feel healthier now and stuff like this. If that is a very important priority for you, then you need to be considering these things on a regular basis, because they play a big important part of you changing. Because if you're not willing to change your lifestyle around with regards to your alcohol consumption, then how are you going to change all these other things around that you want to achieve as well? You can't have everything, unfortunately. And sometimes we do have to put a little bit of willpower in, have some form of balance, not take everything away. I don't necessarily think that's a good thing to be doing. And just enjoying the process that you're going down, because if you enjoy it, it will help you out with your goal a little bit more. So yeah, this is a Friday night, and I'm doing a podcast on Friday night, but I just thought I'd discuss a little bit more information on this, because I think it was probably a good time to explain it a little bit and give you some helpful information, because I'm the type of person that enjoys having a drink as well. I'm quite. I don't necessarily have a crazy amount of drinks every single weekend, but I know that I have to have it sometimes because I enjoy socializing with it. And I know that's going to affect my goal a little bit more, and I'm aware of this. And if I have got a fat loss goal that I want to achieve within a period of time, that I know I need to make sure that I consider these things because they may put a little bit of a pause or just slow me down slightly. But I do, as I say, if I've had a few drinks on a night out, and I'll get to a certain point the next day where I may have consumed slightly different diet than what I usually do on a Sunday. But it might just be like one meal, and then I'll draw a line and I'll get back on board with things, and I'll still go out and do that exercise session, and I'll still get my steps up and stuff, because I know that is probably going to help me out in the long run as well. It's probably going to make me feel better. Like if I was to get out and about and go for walks and stuff like that, I'm probably going to feel better anyway. But I do generally tend to like to exercise on a Sunday still. So I'll still do that. I'll still try and get that process goal in, because I think that's important to me and the goal I want to achieve. And I try and get organized as well with regards to, I'm a big person for for prepping food. I like to be prepared. I like to like cook a big batch of food, stick it in a Tupperware box, and I can just heat it up throughout the week. Could be like a chili or something. I think I had a chili like the other day, and I cooked like loads of it, and then just put it in Tupperware box and heat it up. It was actually really nice. Like the next day, baked potato and chili together. It was amazing. But yeah, and then this is what I'll do is even though I might feel quite tired and fatigued, if I've had a few drinks the night before, I still do these things. I still go to the shops. I get all my food in and make sure I'm ready for things. I plan all my week out as well of what I've got on, the exercises, my workload of what I'm going to do, how I'm going to fit things in. All my food's there ready. It's more convenient. It's practical for me. It's easy for me to reach and get. Because if I haven't got these things in, if I haven't planned anything in, I know that's going to affect like not only my goal, but just how I feel throughout the day. I'm going to feel a little bit unorganized with things, and I don't necessarily like that. And it is hard work sometimes. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it is really difficult if I've had a few drinks and the next day I'm trying to get back on board with things. But I know it's very, very important for me to be doing these things because it gets me the goal that I want to get to with things. And that might just be maintenance as well. It might not even be that I'm on a fat loss goal or a performance goal. I just want to maintain where I am. It's just so you're not taking a step backwards from things. So important things to think about, guys. On a Friday as well. If you have any other questions with regards to any of the information I've brought up today, please let me know. If it is a weekend and if it is a Friday for you, because this may be pre-recorded on one of my podcasts or YouTube videos, feel free to subscribe. Let me know what you think of this as well. Feel free to share it on your stories if you found it quite helpful. And I will speak to you all soon.